they're really taking their time, so much so on these fights on the outskirts in particular that they're slowly getting choked up. So we've already lost pretty much half the lobby by now, with AJ getting a great hit shot over on the Asu. But he's just trying to look for a better position to eventually hold out for. It seems like the rest of Vega decides not to fully push for the meantime. There is definitely a couple more seconds before they really have to shift over onto the zone, while Shadow Esports, as much as there is some space, it is an open wide field for them to play things out up against the rest of ARMR though. Warning shots now being fired, and perhaps a rush might be a charge directly towards the side of ARMR, and we'll see how will they be able to hold out. But for now, Kamals and the rest of SE, they're just gonna form a barricade in the middle of the open as they try to take out Forgiven as well as ARMR at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow is just trying to play the long game, get into the circle, see if they can just get some space, get a little luck with the circle for phase 6. And as Luna gets knocked down onto Unforgiven, stolen though by Shadow Esports, and Setsuna, I think he's able to get the second. Valuable kills. I mean, this is just one of those games where it's just going to be attrition. Yeah, you're just trying to push ball, you're just trying to get into the right spots. Zhuan with the drive-by on the show. Now Zhao knocked down as well. Zhuan gets a second one, and then it's just a total demolition. Zen Esports will happily walk away with that, wipe onto GSW. They only somehow lost one player during that exchange, but as soon as I finished that, Setsuna from distance is able to get the knockdown onto Zhuan, who did such a good job there against GameStar win. ARMR Esports, no kills yet, but center of this circle right now and seem pretty safe.
They can absolutely hold out for the meantime while the rest of these teams are just busy keeping each other at bay by the outskirts. As it doesn't seem like there is fanciful of opportunities for the side of ARMR Esports yet, but my, that play coming from ZSHN though absolutely salvaged the situation. It could have been so much worse for the side of Zen Esports, but of course they look a little worse for wear after that scuffle. Meanwhile, Shadow Esports have been marking onto their location for quite some time now, unable to really get a grip over onto these final two members of the side of Zen Esports. Meanwhile, the North Point seems a little bit more congested, and it does seem like it's going to get a lot more worse for the side of TERA being by the edge of it, alongside with Monk.
Well, I mean, this is an interesting circle. So Shadow Esports have no incentive now to push forward, which is great for ARMR. They get to just kind of sit here and shoot away at all of these teams that are on the eastern side. Great rotation, by the way, from Sunny side up to go out towards the west, away from the conflict, play the late game. Good opportunity to maybe get a top 4 finish in terms of points, not trying to risk it in terms of the fights. They haven't really been winning a lot of those. But so they got a 3-1 split. These three, Goni, Feven, and Luna, probably don't want to get overly aggressive. Just hold a front line, see if you can pick a few kills, then rotate back over towards Sunny side up, who's got a good position in this phase 6 circle. TERA, they're not getting out of this one. Monk are going to have to fight massively hard to get into this circle. The main objective now of your Monk, you've got the 3 kills, 4 players alive. Can you double those kills? Can you get to at least 6 kills, pick up a placement point or 2? That's going to be best case scenario, because I mean, I'd be quite staggered if they're able to win from this position with the way that ARMR is set up, the way that Shadow Esports is set up, and the fact that Unlucky have got Sunny side up in a good anchor position in the circle. TERA are basically what everyone wants to kill right now. Unlucky want to kill them, Monk want to kill them, ARMR want to kill them, and it's just not really an opportunity for them to do anything. Vega, they were pretty much dead and buried. They're eliminated, out in second place still. Only picked up the 2 points though, so a small margin gain from them, as Monk is now starting to bleed some players, which is not a surprise, but they have been able to get up to the 7 kill metric because of that from Hikerman. Dip and Gunya eliminated. There go TERA. No surprise, too much pressure on them. This has been a win for Monk. I mean, they're part of that with Vega and TERA. They're going to go down. They're going to be wounded. At best, maybe one gets through, but they at least picked up the kill points. They didn't let those kills largely go over to ARMR or Zen or Unlucky. They were able to pick up at least 3 or 4 of those kills on their way out of this game.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge, but the problem right now is that they are not exactly in the safe position, which is why we see that desperate attempt as they do send the member down towards the south side, and Monk now left with only 1 member to try to perhaps pull in a top 4 finish to see if they could actually add more points to the tally. While Unlucky, draws an exchange, but it doesn't seem like he's been able to at least find much. So side up, it's got a little bit of bunker going on here as he's going to be at least within the circle, whereas Lun is playing by the edges here. We'll see if he could actually sneak in between those members of ARMR as well as Seoul Esports. Sunny side up, all alone, without much of a backing coming from the side of the rest of Team UL. And it's definitely understandably so, with pretty much a wide open field for them to really cover for the meantime. As for the rest of ARMR, they've been unshaken throughout the entire course of the game, but now they will have to shift their location out on the fields as well, as they're just hugging by the edges. They do have about a minute for them to at least plot what's the next best course of action, though. So for the side of Shadow Esports, they still have this the team that they could basically send out to try to at least give them a little bit more room to play with, but this is going to be pretty much of a tense situation for them with the shift going in favor of the side of UL, and now both these teams will have to push through.
Now, if you recall, go back about maybe 10 minutes, 12 minutes ago when I was talking about Savage Xmen Esports, about the effect of that fight against ATO. Look, guess what? They haven't picked up a single kill since then. They struggled to get into the circle, and Lun, though, has managed to rank tank. The old classic snake in the grass, and he's gotten to the top 4. I mean, we highlighted him in terms of kills, but these players don't always get highlighted in the stats. You don't get to see this as much. I mean, you kind of do in some ways, but this has been a huge result for Savage Xmen Esports to get into the top 4. The placement points that they've acquired, you know, has been next level from where they were and where they started. To be able to get this is huge. They already got the 4 kills at the start of the game, and then from there they've now also been able to acquire some placement points. Lun, I don't know how much further he can go, but he's going to play this as late as possible. Hope that he goes unnoticed. There's a fair chance he could. And obviously for Unlucky, you think, well, they've got a great spot. They've got the 4 players up. So do, of course, Shadow Esports with 4. ARMR's got 4 as well. I mean, it's not a guarantee right now for Unlucky. If like they lose a play, like if Evan gets knocked at the back, he's not going to get revived. So there's still, still a turbulent finish. And technically you could make the argument for ARMR, Shadow, and Unlucky in terms of their ability to win this game. Just going to kind of sit back, see how it does play out. Lun is probably the biggest factor for ARMR, unfortunately. They're the ones most likely to cop a shot or 2 in the back if he wants to try and take someone with him. Or if they're, getting bombarded with nades and they're starting to go for revives, Lun can then pop up out of the grass and really put a dampener for ARMR Esports, who have been able to get themselves into the top 7 with the results so far, but Shadow Esports only the 1 point behind them in 8th, as Lun continues to just creep on by. And Fade's 8 circle, I don't think will change the dynamic of the positions all that much. So Lun behind ARMR. Right now, if you were to put a percentage on this, it's a good chance that Unlucky should go on and win this game. But there's every world in which, if Shadow can close the gap, they're good enough in the fights. ARMR, it really is largely dependent on Lun. If Lun wasn't there, I'd like this spot for ARMR. But Lun at some point, I feel like is going to probably shoot them in the back. And if you're unlucky and you spot Lun, somehow, you don't shoot him, you just leave it, because he's going to help you more than the 1 kill point.
Yeah, I certainly believe so. And overall, it just takes a good pickoff coming from the side of ARMR in order to perhaps turn the tides around up against the rest of Unlucky.
I hate this pickaxe, by the way. This is ridiculous.
They're just digging their way out just to find just about enough cover. And, they're just digging through under the hot sun until they could at least get themselves into the spot. Yeah,
they're all working. They're all got. No one's slacking, saying "Good job, boys." They're all working together. I mean, look, the pickaxe I think is actually a pretty fun tool for the game overall. I think in a competitive environment, though, what it does is it devalues positioning. It devalues getting into the right spots and having cover and bringing the right amount of vehicles and all of these kind of things. Obviously, everyone has access to it as long as they can actually acquire one. But so it's fair game. It's in there. Everyone's got it, and you use it because it's clearly quite strong. I just think it's not needed for PUBG. It takes a little bit away of the skill, as Lunlun is, of course, also showcasing, by the way. This is a wonderful showcase between the new age of PUBG with the pickaxes and the old age with the snake in the grass. I mean, this is how it always has been for many, many years. And he's finally going to pop up, and Suspect is absolutely sharp to get that shot, immediately killing him. And that is huge for ARMR. So that gets rid of the snake behind them. They keep 4 players up. Lunlun wasn't able to do any sort of damage. ARMR now know exactly the situation. And it's always a case of keeping an eye on the overall players left in the lobby. They would have clued on pretty quickly. There was a solo somewhere. There he is, gone. So now they know Unlucky have got 4. Shadow have got 4. We go to phase 9, and it comes down to utility. Who's got the most amount of smokes? Who can close the gap? Who can get towards the center? Right now, by the way, it's favoring Unlucky quite heavily, but just because it's favoring them in terms of the position, it's obviously not going to favor them in terms of the actual getting to the center point, because everyone's going to be out in the open. So whoever's got the most amount of smokes here is going to be more likely to win this. Good catch from Kamal's. Cherry trying to cross from smoke to smoke. He goes down. Fevan lands attack on a Jexy. Right now, Unlucky more focused on Shadow Esports. Shadow Esports more focused on ARMR, and ARMR more focused on Unlucky.
Oh boy, they're rapidly running out of space here, but that catch coming from Setsuno absolutely huge to really deter any sort of advancement coming from the side of ARMR, and doesn't seem like they could also go in for any sort of rivals as well. There we go. Finally, Sunny Side Up appears and tacks on to the side of Pansy. Only 1 member left for side of SE, so he's going to go for a last stand, but not quite enough up against Dusky, though. Sunny Side Up now goes in for the drive-by, finds Cherry, and they've got themselves pinned over on the corner of the zone, and all that's left for Feven to do is to blindside them with a couple of stuns and eventually close in on him, and that should be it. Unlucky will be able to eventually close this one out, as ARMR was hoping to give a little something to the birthday boy with a chicken dinner, but hey, second place finish, not too shabby after all, as the Japanese roster shines true here in the first game.
Yeah, almost the birthday chicken dinner for Suspect, but they got 4 more games to try and get him that one. They did their best. Good game from ARMR Esports. Great game from Unlucky. And I want to just wind it back ever so slightly towards the end of that game. So the circle pop that we saw when it went out into that field onto ARMR, Unlucky were on the north side. The circle pop actually went away from them. And what they did was they sent Sunny Side Up out. Actually slipped out the back, though. If you have a look at the mini-map, he's literally just slipped out the back and got, guys, we could have just gone this way from the get-go, because the south side of this circle is completely open. I mean, it depends on the terrain and who's got eyes on that location, but whenever you have a city like this, phase 6 down, the circle's finally got, everyone's more focused about trying to go direct. Sometimes you can just kind of slip out the back and try and get a little bit of space. Zeno is actually driving directly at him. I don't even think Zeno's aware of Cherry's position. We can see Zeno right now, but Cherry's just to his left. Is Cherry going to take a shot? Doesn't look like it. Suspect has also stayed in the city, so those two are separated for ARMR, as Akasari, Dead to Shalmas, and Xmen are running riot with these BRDMs. That's why they're up to 8 kills right now, and now up into second place. They have been gifted this game. It's not a guarantee that they're going to win it. One BRDM's good. It's great. Having two, I mean, it's great.
That's godsend. It really is, but of course it does work wonders for the team so far. They definitely had a little bit of effort being put into some of all these fights as well, other than just running players down out in the fields. And now next victim might just be Zinc, but does Upchen want to, of course, reposition over onto this spot, or just let him be for the meantime? Perhaps Zanshi could also look to help them out, but seems like that's not going to be the part of the deal. He's just looking to run him over eventually. Whereas Cherry, like you said, has been able to sneak all the way from the south side. As game start win, had such a good position inside the city, and now have found themselves even more space over the southern end. And of course, that's safe from harm, especially when you have two of these BRDMs still running up over our north corner. Atto has been absolutely quiet, though, despite being planted somewhere towards the center for quite some time now. But sometimes staying absolutely silent is great. You don't really want to, of course, attract the attention of these two BRDMs to be running directly at you. Speaking of which, Bowline now being knocked down, seems, as he will eventually be retrieved by his teammates. Sync somehow survived, though, so Xmen choose to let him off the hook, while we have Suspect, who is pretty far apart from Cherry. He's going to lurk right through, as he found a little bit of an angle to try to take on the rest of Xmen, and that will be Suspect eventually taken out by Upchen.
And this has been such a great game from GameStart Win, as they're pushed out of the city and got themselves now the circle pop for phase 7. They just look in a good spot. Cherry does eventually make his mark, though. Poor old Jing, he's going to get caught at the rock. Cherry does die to Kia, though. ATO helping out GSW, because he was just about to go flush Jing. Jing now can actually get revived. I'm pretty certain he's behind a rock, so Zhao Feng can drive over and get that revive to get GSW back up to 4 players, courtesy of ATO, who, of course, are down to just the 1 player now, although they might be able to get potential revive onto Lolbar. He's crawling over to Kia. 6 kills for August. They've played this mountain really well. Good game from them. Great game for SavageMan Esports, up to 11 kills. And now it's 4 of them inside of 1 BRDM. Regardless of what happens from here, this has obviously been a really big game from them, courtesy of the fact of course, had 2 BRDMs. You can't take anything away from them, but they have been quite fortunate to be in this position of having both of these overpowered vehicles. There's not much Kia can do. You try and push around it, but then one of the 4 will just jump out and kill you. And that's probably going to be something we see a little bit more of to close out this game. Satsuda again making good plays. He got the knock onto Alec, the flush onto Ia, but then he too is going to be met by the BRDM. This is just comical at this point.
Yeah, they're just treating this game like it's some sort of a bumper car, except they're the only ones with the car. So
2 of them as well.
Here we go. Yeah.
It's like a game of bumper cars where there's no bumper cars except there's 2 of them, and you get huge Panzerfaust though from CJ. Well, this will upset the balance, and there goes Savior. Orclus have countered the BRDM. They saved the Panzerfaust, and it's only Ludlund left. Still huge game, regardless of what happened from here for SavageMan Esports. 13 kills, top 4, and they're very close to Happy Squad now overall. But that is a big turnaround for Orglas. Zeno knockdown, and GameStart Win will benefit the most from this, because they've still got 4 players up. They've got zone control. They can actually third-party this. There's a good chance for GameStart Win to pick up the win, as Lunlun continues to try his best, forced out and towards the blue. You've still got Hafiz as well for Orca-TERA. He's made it down into the top 3. As CJ finished off, he sits behind the rock, but there's still 4 up for GSW. This should be their game win, and if it is, what a fantastic win it would be. One of the Godok teams, they pushed out towards the western part of the city early. They were able to then push out of the zone. They dealt with ARMR. They were able to then take Southside, and they deserve this chicken dinner. Wonderful game from GameStart Win. From bottom on the leaderboard to picking up the chicken dinner, and that's going to see them rise up the leaderboard.
Quite this turn of events that we did not expect at all, where we saw SavageMan was just racking up kills after kills with their double BRDM until they were met with Orclus with 2 Panzers prepared to absolutely blow them out of the park. And of course, GSW, like you said, they fought hard to claim space inside of Godok. They took control of the city, and once they moved outwards, they've been able to claim even more of that space over the south to absolutely dominate the end game. That was phenomenal. I want to go back to the replay to really witness all the shenanigans as well as all the crazy frags overall. But wow, this round in Tego was quite something.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, look, another Northwest Island. Look, they're fun. They're great. But having them every single night has been a little interesting. But honestly, a fun one too, with the way that kind of Godok played an influence on the game. So GameStart Win, of course, we're already on that Northwest Island from the get-go, right? So, well, not from the get-go. They actually dropped Hosan and then rotated straight up to the island. Then they went into Godok, but they went in and stayed on the edge of it. Didn't overinvest, didn't go center, didn't really think, okay, it's a guarantee that it's going to finish. They made sure that they had the backup plan set,